What's going on, Natty? How you doing, man?
Doing well, can't complain. How's life with you?
Uh, cool. Another day.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely get that, man. Um, really quick, where are you from? Are
Yeah.
you West Coast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm down here in SoCal.
Oh, SoCal. Damn. Are
Yeah.
you like college? What's your deal?
What's my deal?
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious.
uh well, I took a semester off.
Smart call. Because of
Yeah.
COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I went back to college when the pandemic started. Yeah, cuz the pandemic really affected my business and what we did.
What's your business?
Events.
Oh yeah, yeah. Really fucked
Yeah.
that. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and we have the largest venue as far as county fairs goes in
Really?
LA.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So and my business was food and beverage. So of course that kind of screwed
Right.
well as the pandemic went. So but yeah, dude. Freaking roller coaster ride.
Is
But yeah.
this going to be used in the interview, or are you going to let me know when we start? Just curious, because I do see that it's recording.
The
Yeah,
Mindbuzz
it's recording. You
Podcast.
just, I don't know. We'll just go a little bit back and forth, and then we'll go ahead and officially start. I let it play, and yeah, I just let it play. So yeah, Mindbuzz is just a huge conversation piece, I guess.
That's because I was listening to something before. I was really listening to with that flat earther. It's very fascinating. A lot of disagreements, but it was just very fascinating listening to that talk. Like, wow,
Dude,
he's in the thick of it.
Dave Weiss, man, he's well known in the flat Earth community.
I could tell because I saw on the YouTube it had like 1,200 views or something like that. I was like, damn, the flat earthers are really coming large
Yeah.
there. Hitting you up.
Yeah, they come, they hit me up on the video actually on Twitter, and that's why I actually started putting full episodes on YouTube because they were requesting the full interview on there. So I was like,
Right.
you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw it on there, see what happens, and boom.
How do you like Riverside, by the way?
It's cool. I really like
Yeah.
it. There's some stuff like to get used to, but other than that, it's fairly user friendly.
Oh, cool. So I could share my screen if I wanted to. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to right now. I just was wondering what that button did. I was curious. I was like, what happens if I press screen? So we use
Yeah.
for our remote ones, we use Zencaster. And I'm like, it's okay. It's okay.
How is that? Is it?
Okay? I like that it's free. That's really dope.
Okay.
Like you can't beat that. But at the same time, I was looking at Riverside. One of the things that I like is that it automatically has like an option for you to do like side by side screens depending on like what package you pay for.
Yeah.
And even if you do the paid Zencaster, it doesn't do that. So I'll actually have to go through and still do a lot of video editing after the fact, just like on Premiere, getting the multicam set up and switching over when people are talking.
Mhm.
So I like that. But I mean, Zencaster gets the job done. It's not like I still have to do local recording in addition to Zencaster, except for our guests who I will use the Zencaster audio for them. But you know, for free program, you can't beat it at the same time.
Yeah, you can't beat that. The one thing that really drew me into Riverside is that it downloads everything locally.
Right.
Yeah, and you don't get the compressed audio that you do with some other softwares.
Zencaster does that too, but with the free one, it only does like MP3 audio at a certain bit rate. I can't remember what it is off
Yeah.
the top of my head. Again, if you pay for it, you can get like wave recording. I think at like 16-bit, which is
Yeah.
which is pretty good. I'll take that. I mean, I try to do wave 32 bits when I can, or 24-bit when I can. But
Yeah.
I mean, this for a software online, it's pretty awesome that it does that.
Yeah. Yeah. The one tricky thing when I first started using this was I'm running the Rodecaster Pro and I have multi-channel selected on there. So when the first time I recorded with Riverside, I had like all the audio on one track, and it kind of screwed that up. You know what I mean? Like as a podcast, you at least want different tracks
Yeah, definitely.
for audio.
Oh yeah, I would hate to have to do one track. Sometimes Zencaster just won't work on certain people's computers. I don't know why. I think usually it's on old people, and I think it's because they just don't have an updated browser, and like, not to be rude or anything. But so they'll use like Zoom, and I was like, anytime that happens, I'm like, fuck, does it have to be a Zoom recording? Like, it just compresses the hell out of it. I don't get to split the channels. It's just a pain to deal with, and you can just tell it's a Zoom call.
Like another option was like double recording. Also, like you can jump on like a FaceTime and have your DAW open recording and have the other person's DAW open and recording, and you can just have them send over your files or whatever. That was another option. I never really did that because that sounds like a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But I mean, it works for some people.
Yeah, well, I just like, if we can keep it as simple as possible with some of our guests, it's just that's why I like services like Riverside or Zoom. It's like, send them a link; they don't have to worry about anything. It's all taken care of for you.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you do that double recording, you're asking a lot.
Yeah, I was like, well, at first you have to download this program called Audacity or Gutenberg, whatever the free one is you want to use, and then you have to do this and hit record and make sure it's all set up right. So it's nice that these services just take care of it. There are a few new ones though that I've seen that have come out recently. Really? Yeah, it seems like the competition's starting to get fierce in the online podcast interview sphere.
I know Zencaster. I've seen their ads all over Instagram.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love those targeted ads. Instagram's gotten so bad. I don't know about you, but like on Instagram, I can tell when they're profiling me based off what I've been looking at. It's like, you guys don't even wait like a few weeks. It's just straight away I get them.
Right away. It's like 5 minutes later, dude, you'll see that fuzzy couch that you're looking at. Yeah,
the worst for me though is I have some friends who are musicians, and they'll like every once in a while they'll post something on their Instagram that's like a new recording of theirs, and I'll just like it, and then for the next week I just get so many ads from musicians and bands just trying to push their stuff. It's probably because I share it on my story as well, just support my friends. But it's probably like, oh, he must really like indie musicians. Let's feed him this. I feel bad for the people who pay for those ads, though. I don't think they actually work.
You don't think so? I mean, it's the algo. It's the algo.
I've seen maybe like 500 different like band ads at this point, just over the past 2 years. I have yet to actually press on any of them. I think it's also due.
Okay.
So I think the reason I feel bad is because it's usually like these indie people who have really bad production quality. Not like the music production quality is good, but like the video or the picture production quality is pretty poor.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's just not very catchy. Like it just looks very unprofessional to me. So when I see that, I'm like, I'm not gonna check it out.
I checked out maybe like one or two. One of them was cool because it was like synth pop, and it was from a guy out here in LA, and that shit was just it was badass. And then there was another one, I think they were called like Wallflower something, that I found them on my personal page, actually. Yeah, some of their music is pretty good. I mean, you brought up a good point about picture quality. I didn't really look at the pictures.
Yeah,
to be honest, I just listened to their music.
Do you do any digital ads for your show?
No,
Yeah.
no,
Same.
I haven't.
Have
you?
No,
Have you thought about it?
Yeah, I've definitely considered it. I've read a lot of articles from other podcasts who've done like Facebook, Google, Instagram, TikTok ads, and the conversion ends up being like you're spending $25 for a listener at the end of the day.
Really?
Yeah, that's usually what it ends up being. I was like, that's not worth that at all.
How long is the turnaround time for that? Like you did.
I'll find the article specifically that I was reading and I'll share it with you because it was a good article on it. It was a very detailed article too. I think it was by Pod News. I don't know if you subscribe to them. Awesome email though. They do like a daily email.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really good stuff. It's very good.
Oh, they do a daily.
Yeah, they do a daily news update on the podcast industry. Yeah, it's good. It's really good. Or I think it's Pod News. Yeah, they also have a free magic link, they call it. It's like one of those links where you send it to people and it opens up either Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or your website if neither of those are installed. Which is very nice. Podfollow also does that.
Wait, so it's like a link tree, and you can use that to send it to other people?
Is there a chat option in this?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send it in
well,
the chat.
I can search it on here too.
So if you go to podfollow.com, that's the best one. If you go to podfollow.com, you can search like Mindbuzz, and then you can get a link. And if it's on an iOS, if you text it to someone and it's on an iOS device, it'll open up.
Oh, yeah, right here, search.
It'll open up Apple Podcasts.
Cookies, yeah, whatever. Cookies, I'm okay with cookies. Mindbuzz.
And then you can also do specific episodes. So, like, whenever we have a new episode out, I'll usually just text it to a few people. And if they're on Android, it'll do Google Podcasts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's good shit. Yeah, it works really well. I got you, man. Right. This is my full-time job.
I'm looking at the podfollow.com.
Yeah, it's sweet.
And I searched for the Mindbuzz, and it's right here, Dave.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they're on iOS and they don't have Apple Podcasts, or if they're on Android and they don't have Google Podcasts, it takes them to the Podfollow page, which has a player in there and the links to everything. So in that regards, it does act like a link tree. Or you can have it. You can claim your podcast and you can have it send to your website as well. So that's what actually I do for ours. So ours will go to like the Amalfi Media, like snapshots page if it's snapshots, or Binge Bros if it's that one.
Hey, this thing is pretty cool.
It is, and I actually also have I have a QR code that I put on our business cards, and I just have the Podfollow on there, and automatically when someone scans it, take them straight to the Apple Pod page, to the most recent episode, straight to the Google one.
So if we were looking for your stuff, what would we search?
I've never actually tried searching Amalfi on there. I've only ever done the specific.
No, I tried Amalfi. It didn't. Nothing showed up.
If you type in just Amalfi but not Amalfi Media, I'm seeing all of our shows right there at the top.
Amalfi, there we go. Yeah.
We're gonna start labeling them as Amalfi Media from now on instead of Amalfi, because we realized there was some branding confusion since the company is called Amalfi Media. People will look that up instead of Amalfi, and then that will not pop up. So I have to just go through and retag everything for that, but yeah, they'll all pop up there, I guess. That was a good question. Except for obviously the YouTube channel for the cooking show, since that's not a podcast, but
yeah. Oh, everything's up here. Monday Madness, snapshots from the swamp to the swamp, Binge Bros, Dinder, and No Fear Finance, Amalfi.
Yeah, everything after No Fear Finance is not our stuff. I have no idea.
Oh, it is? Okay,
I don't know what the other stuff is.
All right, then I won't plug them. I won't say their name.
Amalfi No to Z-Pot. Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
Really? Yeah. Well, I'm here with Natty from Amalfi Media. What's up, Natty?
Hello, Gill. Not much.
How's it going, man? Thanks for being here.
Yeah, man, of course. I'm glad I could come on finally. I know we had some scheduling back and forth stuff. It's been a crazy busy few months. Just starting a company, it takes a lot of time and drains a lot of your time. That's half the battle. Well. It really is half the battle. But, I'm glad I could finally come on. I think, was it Marv? Was it Marv that connected us?
Marv connects me to. He's like my PR guy.
Yeah, Marv is everyone's PR. Marv is every indie podcaster's PR guy. That's what I've learned. If you want,
Right?
if you
He's
want
a
your
G.
podcast to succeed, just have Marv plug it for you. He's amazing at it.
Yeah.
He's more
Yeah.
on it
Like
than I think I am.
he's really on it. Like I was he connect me with a podcaster that does a podcast on it's called the Glass Onion, which is a John Lennon based podcast, and I'm gonna have him on the show in the future. And me and him were going back and forth on email, and I couldn't catch him for like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, like we're all busy, and the conversation came up with me and Marv, and he was like, "Oh, well, I'll start a Facebook Messenger group," and I was like, okay." And then right away, I'm not even kidding, Natty. Maybe like 2 minutes later, the guy emails me, and he was like, "Hey, I'm sorry to get back to you, and so late." And I'm like, "Whoa, Marv."
Marv the Hustler. Look at that.
Yeah. No, he's great. He had
is.
you've been on pods like us, right?
I was on it. My dad was on it. My brother was on it. I'm sure everyone else from Amalfi Media at one point will be on it. He's probably got a lined up schedule though. That's
Yeah.
the way to do it
Yeah.
though. I think, I mean, that's something that I've been sleeping on, is guesting and having guest appearances on other podcasts. But I mean, if you want your podcast to grow, or if you want yours, like mine, for example, if I want Binge Bros to grow, it's great to come on other
Yeah.
podcasts, because I mean, you're talking directly to your audience. And at the
Yeah.
same time, if you are the podcaster doing the interview or having the guest on, like, of course, the other person's going to promote it as well. So it's like two birds, one stone, helps everyone out. But I mean, you can't be just getting right in front of your audience. Like, it's like the best thing you could possibly do. Know your market, right?
Yeah. 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 And have you been on any other shows besides pods like us?
No, actually, this is only my second, my
Yeah.
second one. Yeah, again,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Okay.
my time was busy just setting everything up, but it's sort of, I've gotten a flow for things better now, and
Cool.
like I'm more in the groove, so my time's definitely freed up. So that's something I'm looking to do, is to get on more shows for sure. Just on
Nice.
really
Yeah.
any topic too. Like I just love talking. We were podcasters, like, I could talk all day.
Yeah. Yeah. I have conversations with my partner, and she's like, "Okay, you can we're done here. I just need a day to not hear you for
Yeah.
one."
Yeah, just be quiet for a few days. Go do your podcast, okay, and come back when you're done.
Dude, I figured out that if I'm not podcasting, or if I'm not going to the gym and trying to bust my ass and shed all this COVID weight, dude,
Right.
I become like neurotic. I do.
Yeah.
There's like something in there.
No, I
you
mean,
know?
if anything, that's a calling for you to do podcasts. That's probably a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Shedding COVID weight. How fucking sucks. It's fine if I swear on this, right? Is that
No, yeah,
okay?
go ahead.
Fucking
Yeah, shit, fuck,
sucks.
ass.
Man,
pussy.
COVID weight is like the
All the fun ones.
worst thing possible. It's like one of the worst outcomes of COVID. It's like, really,
Yeah.
like, a pandemic isn't enough. I also have to come back into like normal life with this vaccine, like 20 pounds heavier than I was before, and looking like a
Yeah.
slob.
There's people that kind of like benefited like health wise, but there's no middle ground. You either lost 25 pounds or you gained 50.
I yo-yoed somehow at the start. I was really into like health and wellness. I was like, you know what?
Of course.
This is a pandemic that predominantly impacts people who are out of shape, who are unhealthy. I'm going to turn my life around. And I lost like 20 pounds. And then all of a sudden I was like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I could eat a lot more food and just watch more TV instead. And I leaned
Yeah.
into that. So I gained back like all the weight I lost plus a little bit. But I mean, now that, vaccines are out, I'm going to the gym again. Getting that grind. You got to do that.
Oh yeah.
I will
Yeah,
say
same
though,
here.
like, the one benefit of COVID is that I am more aware of trying to at least maybe eat some more greens, maybe not have as many potato chips as I was before, maybe not as much sugar. It really
Yeah.
did highlight the importance of trying to be a little bit healthier.
I over the past couple years, I've been vegetarian slash.
Really?
I don't even want to say vegan because, uh, I mean that's the goal. Not to use animal products, but I mean, uh, I don't consider myself vegetarian or vegan. I really don't.
What made you choose to be a vegetarian? Even though, so you said you don't, wait, hold on. You
Yeah.
said you don't consider yourself vegetarian. Does that mean like every once in a while you'll have meat or like
Every
fish or
once in a while
something?
I will. Like
Okay.
if I want like a good, meaty bloody steak,
Right. You'll go
then
for
I'll
it.
have it.
Okay.
Like I don't hold back on but then again, I don't hold back, but I just portion. I think that's what it is, just portion.
I think that's the way
I'm
to
not I'm
do it. I really do. Like
yeah.
if you choose to maybe like just cut back your meat to like maybe twice a week even. I think that's better than just going full veg. Not that there's anything wrong with full veg, but I just think every once in a while it's okay to have some meat in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it depends who who you're talking to though. What about like
Right.
what about carnivore diet? Are you just eating meat, like nothing else? That
That's
blows my mind.
that's I don't know, dude. I've I tried that maybe a couple years back
Would you actually?
when I was really into lifting weights, and my mindset was like meat, protein,
Yeah.
protein, protein. It's gonna bulk me up, but yeah, it didn't bulk me up at all.
Um, I don't think I could do that. I really don't.
No.
It's just, I mean, I like meat, no doubt. It's just that's a lot of meat. It's a lot of steak and chicken. I mean, I need some variety every like at least some vegetables like every once in a
Yeah.
while. Actually, I like fruit and vegetables. Maybe that's a weird thing to say, but I don't think I could go without them. It'd be boring.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially what you normally eat. I mean, w- on your podcast, you cook, right? Or
We so
who does all the cooking
we have a
on that one?
cooking show in
Hmm.
addition. So we have like 6 podcasts, and then we have a YouTube cooking show called No Fear
Oh,
Cooking. And the cooking show's hosted by my mother, but I do make appearances every once in a while. So like the past few
yeah.
episodes have actually been pretty heavy on the channel. But I mean, dude, I love cooking. Cooking's such a fun thing to do.
Yeah, it puts you in this weird bliss state when you're so focused on just making something and creating something. And I think it's another outlet, like creatives like us, we get zoned in onto a goal
Yeah, well,
or just something to make.
so that's the thing about cooking is a lot of people I feel like don't realize that you can be really creative with your
Yeah.
cooking. I think it's partially because a lot of cooking is so recipe dependent where you need to
Hmm.
do a recipe and follow it. But I think once you get the basics, you start understanding what foods go together well and you're willing
Right.
to experiment more. I think a great example of this is random. Great example is Ratatouille at the beginning when the rat is eating like a grape and he mixes it with cheese. It's just like one of
Oh
those
yeah.
small examples. Like you can mix and
Yeah.
match these foods that you don't think would be good together that are actually pretty good together. So it's a very
Yeah.
creative outlet in that regards. And it's also
Yeah.
just it's fun to make something for yourself and enjoy it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially with that's what drew me into uh plant-based lifestyle, was just the amount of creativity that's put into cooking a vegan meal, totally out of plants. Nothing out
Right.
of animal products, no chicken, no beef, none of that. No, not even chicken stock or beef stock.
Yeah.
You have to know what goes together, especially with texture. Also, texture is a big thing,
Very big.
especially with cooking. And when you're making a vegan plate, I think texture is you have to have the texture right.
I think that's actually something that so I had some friends who had COVID a while back and I was lucky to
Oh
not get
wow.
it, but I
Uh-huh.
had some friends who had a
Yeah.
while back and they lost their taste and they were like, "Yeah, I never realized how weird the texture of something like mac and cheese was until I had it without any flavor." Like when you eat something
Really?
in its raw form and you can't taste it, and all you get is the sensation of the texture. apparently that just fucks with the food, and it like almost ruined it for some of them. They're like, I don't know if I could eat that again. I don't know if I could have mac and cheese again. And then, they got rid of COVID and they're like, nah, I gotta go back to the mac and cheese.
Yeah, that's. Have you made anything vegan before? Or where you at? Where are you from, Natty?
I am in South Carolina. But
South Carolina.
Originally I'm from Pennsylvania though. I moved to South Carolina when I was like 5 or 6 years old, around that time. That's a very interesting culture. I'm not trying to shit on South Carolina. It's just a very fascinating.
No, tell me about it. I don't.
I've
never been there.
I don't know. It's very traditional and it's very much the same. Like you'll see people just sort of dress the same. You'll see people just sort of act the same. They'll have the same interests. Very big truck state. Very into their trucks. Even if you don't have a purpose for a truck, you have a truck, which is interesting to me because it's like, in my opinion, it's like a car is a car. It gets me from point A to point B. Like, why would I have a truck if I don't need to use a truck? It's a fun state though. At the same time, the people here are very fun. I will say my favorite part about the South, and I don't know, you're in LA, so I don't know if this is like it there at all. From my understanding, it's not. My favorite thing about the South is just how friendly everyone is. Like I've heard like certain states, if you just say hi to someone or smile at them, they're like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, what's your problem, dude?" Whereas here in South Carolina, like if you walk down the streets downtown, like you can have a conversation with like 50 different people in just one block because everyone here is so friendly, which I like because I like to talk, I like to socialize. So for me, I like that people don't think I'm weird for wanting to talk to them or just like smiling at them. Like,
oh, dude, you fit right into Long Beach culture.
Oh,
definitely.
I would? Okay, that's good to know.
No, you would.
I mean, I love California. I've been there a few times, and if I could live anywhere right now and afford it, it would definitely be, I think, California. Or maybe.
Where did you come visit?
I've been to San Francisco and San Diego, and I guess Coronado. So isn't Coronado right next to San Diego? Basically, like
Coronado's the island off of the coast.
Coronado's a cool spot. So we got to stay at the Hotel del Coronado, which is like on the beach, and you can literally see like Navy SEALs training. Like if you just turn your head to the left, it's like, oh shit, that's like the most badass soldiers in the world training right next to me while I'm enjoying this vacation.
Yeah,
which is very cool. And you get like these explosions at nighttime from their training. I was like, this is interesting. I like this.
Coronado's awesome. It's an awesome place to eat, and it's an awesome place to drink. It's an awesome place to party. San Diego is a party.
Unfortunately, when I went, I was like 14 maybe. So it's definitely not in the mindset like party.
Yeah.
Although right now, being 24, I do enjoy going out and drinking. So maybe that's where I'll go after everything's settled a little bit more. What's it like in California right now, actually? Like, I read the headlines, but I haven't talked to anyone who lives there.
Yeah. Like, what headlines? From who? From what media outlet?
All of them, man.
The narrative changes daily.
I try to read from a variety of different sources because I know, like, you can't trust just Fox News. You can't trust just CNN. I think it's good to get, like, a variety of them. But, I mean, I've been reading less. I feel like it's been less in the news lately, but especially a few months ago, I just been reading that California's been, like, a hellhole, basically, and that, like, if you go there, like, everyone's locked inside. Like, if you listen to Joe Rogan, it's like, oh, like, all of California is afraid to even, like, talk to each other. So that's what I've been reading. And I feel like that's just
really?
I feel like that's probably not right. Like, I feel like that's just wrong.
Well, some bit is wrong. I mean, there is a huge population here that is still pretty much on the fence about going out because of the pandemic. But I think looking at the headlines and all the numbers from previous months, I mean, that was my perspective of California maybe about a month ago. Because of not even a month ago, it was like before the vaccine, when this was like we had our body count or the death count in because of COVID was the worst in the country.
Yeah,
that was what, like a couple of months ago, right?
Isn't it the lowest right now?
It's the lowest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's really good
Yeah.
to see. Is
Yeah.
that
It's
because of herd immunity plus the vaccines, or is that like purely vaccines? Do you know?
That's what they're saying.
They're saying it's a combo of the
That's what
two.
they're saying. It's a combination.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes
Yeah.
sense when so many people had it at that point. Who else is there that can get
Exactly.
it anymore?
Yeah. Yeah, that too, and then the whole Gavin Newsom thing about
Right.
him getting recalled,
Right. Yeah.
and now the race to become the California governor.
Yeah. Okay. I think Gavin Newsom is such just a tool, man. I think it was very
Really?
Yeah. I mean, again, maybe it's the headlines I was reading and what they're feeding us, but
Yeah.
for him to tell people you can't do shit, but it's okay for him to go to restaurants and it's okay for him to go out still. It's like the rules apply to everyone except for me. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
dude. You can't, as a leader, you
That
can't
was the
tell
one thing.
people to do this and then yourself not do that. Like, I don't understand why he thought that would be a good look. Like, I don't get that. I was like, you thought that'd
Yeah,
be a good
that's
idea?
I don't. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I was like, Gavin Newsom, are you stupid? You really thought that'd be a
You
good
have
idea?
you have your whole state and the whole country looking at you, dude. I mean, even at the beginning of or the middle stages of the pandemic, there was so much pressure on all the governors
Oh yeah.
to see how they were going to run their state because, I mean, Donald Trump didn't really regulate it as much. I mean, there was really no federal regulation throughout the whole process. It was pretty much states did their own thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
did you get that?
Yeah, and personally, I mean, I'm okay with. I prefer that. I like states to mainly, be states and do their own thing. I do wish.
Right.
I wish some governors took it more seriously, though. That's the thing. I respect that he let the states decide. I just wish some governors weren't as fucking stupid about it the whole time. But there were some states that did it really well, and there were some that just shit the bed completely. I thought it
Yeah.
was ballsy of Cuomo to write a leadership book halfway through it. Like, we're not even done with the
Oh,
pandemic.
that was great.
Just-
Did he really?
yeah, he wrote a leadership book on handling COVID halfway through it. Like, you don't even know what the outcome is going to be like in your state, and like that just takes balls. And then like all of the sexual assault allegations came out.
Yeah,
like, months
that's what I
later.
was gonna say,
Yeah.
dude. I was like, and plus all that stuff too. Just-
Yeah. I gotta wonder what it's like to be a politician. Like, do they just not look at their actions as being public? Like, everyone's looking at you, even before COVID. Like, are you not expecting the limelight to be on you?
Yeah. Yeah, they're celebrities. They're another pawn in I guess media.
Yeah,
I mean, they're the political pawn.
yeah.
They're the ones closest to the population, and they're the middle managers. They're the
And
middlemen.
the media's also done just a very poor job this entire process. I mean, the media already sucked before COVID, but when you're
The one.
yeah.
No, go ahead.
This is when your entire business model is based off generating clicks. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
surprised that they act the way they do. I'll just say that.
Dude. Well, I think I'm thinking the COVID-19 pandemic because they would never turn me on to what's his name from Fox News, Tucker Carlson. I think the pandemic for allowing me to see that
You're a big
on,
Tucker Carlson guy?
live television.
Tucker Carlson is just a caricature in my eyes. He's so to me, it's more entertainment than news to watch.
Yeah.
It's always like, what's he about to say? What's about to come out of
What
his
is he gonna do
mouth?
next?
Yeah.
Right.
Or like my favorite one was, I don't know. I remember that douchebag like congressperson who is currently going through also sexual assault allegations when he came on
Mr. Florida, Mr.
Yes,
Matt
yes,
Gaetz.
Mr. Florida, yes. When
Yes.
he came on Tucker Carlson.
Yes.
Even Tucker Carlson was like, no. No.
He was telling
I
me, he
don't
was
know
like,
what you're
dude,
talking
you
about."
had, what was he saying? Yeah, he was like,
He's
hey,
like,
you
you
have
were at
the,
dinner with me. You were at dinner with me. Do you remember that dinner? He's like, I don't recall what you're talking about. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Goodbye.
yeah, that was gold. That was gold.
It was. Media's
But I
gold.
mean, think about it, dude. Like it's kind of strange because now that I'm no conspiracy theorist at all, but I mean, once Trump left uh, office, and now all his supporters are having all these such allegations and all these different types of other, uh, assault accusations and FBI shit. And it's just like, I don't know. It's kind of weird, dude. Like, that's kind of weird.
Man, I was just the past 4 years have been so conflicting for me because a lot of the cases, like there are a lot of reasons to dislike Trump, like tons of reasons, and but the way the media went about it, I was like, it was just untrustworthy. The things that they were saying and doing, I was like, again, you have
Yeah.
like legitimate, because so I study political science. I worked with two political campaigns, and then I worked at the EU
Oh,
Parliament.
really?
Yeah, and I was
Oh,
working
cool.
at the EU Parliament in Belgium. So like I'm at least a little bit familiar with politics and how everything runs.
Right.
And if you look at it from like a policy standpoint, there are a lot of reasons you can shit on Trump. Why are you guys just flat out lying though? Like if you wanted people to trust you, just tell the truth, because the truth has a lot of reasons to dislike the guy in there. But you know,
Really?
I don't know. It's
Like,
the media.
is there one certain, I guess, event or policy that will that that is like that that's been lied about?
Oh man, I'd have to do some research because I don't want
One
to
that jumps at
accidentally
you?
say something wrong.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, man. I feel like we're not allowed to say something by mistake and be wrong anymore without people
Mm-hmm.
just jumping you, especially on something as like debated as politics. Like if you don't come
Really?
prepared, like people fucking eat your throat out. If you say something wrong, like you can't
Really?
even like, even if you apologize and be like, dude, I would just misspoke. Like I did not mean
Uh-huh.
that. Like I quoted the wrong thing. Nah, they'll just eat you apart.
Usually I just say, "Well, have you listened to my podcast? Do you know what I talk about?" I mean,
Right.
do you obviously don't know me because I just say anything that's pops into my head, which gets me in trouble.
Yeah,
But
it happens. Happens.
it's all fun and games. That's why I
I'm
watch Tucker Carlson,
right. All fun and
to be
games.
entertained for fun.
I can't wait. Speaking of entertainment, I can't wait for this Pentagon UFO stuff to come out, because one of the last thing Trump did on his way out was give it
Mhm.
like a deadline to the Pentagon to release everything they have on UFO and aliens, and I think it's coming up
Yeah.
like next month. And they've
Yeah.
basically been telling us there's shit we don't know about, and like even the government can't
Mhm.
explain if you just pay attention. But I'm very much looking forward. I'm curious to see if the Pentagon finesses their way out of it, though. They're like,
Maybe.
what deadline? UFO?
Or
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, or they're gonna release the documents, but everything is gonna be blacked out. Like
True.
all the writing is gonna have a thick black line through everything.
Or they'll just release so much information that it's too much for your normal citizen to just go through. It's too much reading, you know. There might be
Oh,
something interesting in there, because they've been known to do that, especially like with some of the UFO stuff, like with the Tic Tac UFOs that the Pentagon released like a year ago now. They just release it with all this other information that's useless, so you have to like dig through it to find it. And so
yeah,
it's just like too much for, like, if you're a working class person or if you have a job or anything, like you're not going to
yeah.
spend a whole day going through thousands of pages of documents that the Pentagon released.
So I think that their idea is that every person that wants to read this stuff is kind of like Alex Jones,
Right.
that 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 actually does this for a living. And maybe that's what I would wait for. I would wait for Alex Jones to hit a nail on this stuff, and then just listen to his stuff at Infowars, or if he's gonna go back on Joe Rogan
If
and talk
Spotify
about this
lets
stuff.
if Spotify lets him have him on
They
again.
probably won't. They
I know.
probably won't.
I'm amazed they did that one time at like New Year or something like that. I think they let him have him on again. Spotify's been, I don't know if you've seen this, but each month they'll slowly remove one or two more episodes of Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed this maybe even before everybody. I don't. I'm no, reporter or anything, but dude, I'm not kidding. Maybe like months back, when he first went on Spotify, I watched this. It was an episode of him, and I think it was him and Alex Jones. I think it was like 1667, 16 something, right?
Yeah.
And I was watching it on YouTube, fairly late in the evening, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna switch to Spotify and listen to the rest, right? So I turned off my TV, go to my room, I put on Spotify, and I'm looking for the number, and it was gone.
Yeah, not there.
Like the first I guess it was like when you go in chronicle, and it took me like 2 minutes to go all the way down because it was like really old. It was a really old episode. And no, dude, it was gone. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's strange. But I mean, depending on what was in that episode was it was strange. But then again, it was Alex Jones.
I feel like by taking them down, you draw more attention to it, and you can still find them online. Like if you really want them, they're out there. Like just go on Reddit, go on the Joe Rogan subreddit. I think they even have it pinned on there, like how to find the deleted Spotify episodes. And by doing that, you're just drawing attention, like because now the media is talking about all of the episodes that are missing.
Yeah,
they're highlighting
there's like
the
40
specific
something,
ones.
right? Like 47.
I think it's up to maybe 60 now,
Or it's
and,
more.
You know, it was
more now.
Yeah, it's more now. It's so shitty what they did. So it came out on Spotify, and it was something like 30 at the start. 30 of them weren't there, and you know the excuse was, oh, it's just switching hosts, switching servers, everything that's involved. They're just they're delayed a little bit. And then, like, slowly it adapted into, oh, no, these ones are never coming out because I want them on the YouTube. Spotify isn't censoring them. And then it was, like, 2 more a month, and we're getting at, like, 60 now. And I think Joe's even admitted, like, oh, yeah, Spotify didn't want certain ones up. I was like, who gives a shit? Whatever. I mean, I get that, but you also can't then say Spotify won't censor me with old episodes. Because you promised.
Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, well, he said that when he was switching. He's like, don't worry, every single episode will be available.
Oh, yeah.
Yada, yada, yada. Yeah. And then there was like a hot mic of him telling someone, Spotify, like part of the deal was like, they wanted to take down certain episodes. I was like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Take them down. Like, so you just lied. Just be honest. That would have been better. And people wouldn't be as pissed off either.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, dude, 100 million will change somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame him. If Spotify's coming to me and says, oh, I'll give you $100 million, but, 20 episodes won't be up. Okay, that's fine.
Fuck them. Take all of them.
Chill.
All 30, whatever.
No, I will say, though, I think that deal was a little bit preposterous. $100 million, or was it even $200 million maybe? Too much money, in my opinion. I think podcast is like a bubble right now, which is ironic because, we produce 6 podcasts at Amalfi Media. But like some of these shows and these companies that are being sold, it's just like way overvalued, especially for the quality. Some of them are just, I hate to say this. For example, Spotify bought Gimlet Media for like $200 million. Most boring podcast network I've ever listened to. Man. It's just so generic and dull. And then it turns out it's not actually bringing Spotify any money at all, which is what really sucks for them. Whoops.
Why do you think they grabbed that network? What do you think it was? Because they were easy to put their hands down and let Spotify control them?
Well, like part of it is because it's hard to turn down $200 million, first of all. But I think Spotify really just wanted to get into the podcast game, and they were like, we need something that we can make exclusive that'll drive people to our app. But the mistake they made was putting out a shit podcast app. Like, I don't know what you use, but I think by far Spotify is the worst for listening, for consuming, and for discovering podcasts. It's very YouTube-esque, where you're force-fed podcasts they think you'll like, not the ones you're subscribed to. It's like, I'm subscribed to certain podcasts because I like them. Don't show me shit I don't want to see. I don't mind if you show to me how like Apple does, like below, like hey, you like this, you might like this, but like I'll go on Spotify. We have an episode out every day from all of our shows, sometimes 2, and I won't see it on Spotify. I'm like, where? Like, it's there. It's just they don't tell you there's a new episode out. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Thank you, Spotify. I really appreciate that. Helping us out.
Yeah, I think they want to get in. They want the whole audio scene. They want music, and now because of the huge, I guess, the use outpour of podcast, and yeah, why not? They want our
Yeah.
ears.
I can't blame them for it. I just wish as a company they spent more time actually making the experience of listening and finding podcasts on their platform better. Like recently they just had an update where I don't even know how to find my downloads for podcasts on Spotify anymore. There's like a tab you have
It's
to
hard.
press now, and like
Yeah,
it takes you to the show, but it still doesn't take you to the download page. I was like, what was wrong with having an area that said downloads and just going there? Like you did something right for once, Spotify. Why did you do this? Which
yeah,
I think is all. I used to only listen to music on Spotify, but I switched to Apple Music because I just started hating
really.
Spotify. I couldn't do it, man. It really just got to be a terrible experience.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Because I was diehard Spotify for music. Like there was a point where I was like, if you're on Apple
Yeah,
Podcasts, like don't talk to me, man. Just don't talk to me.
yeah,
And then it's just with each update, it got worse and worse. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't do
yeah,
this. Apple also
yeah. Right
pays
now,
more to their musicians.
yeah, I'm split. I'm split between. So for podcasts, I listen to uh Apple, Apple Podcast, and for music, I switch to Spotify.
Right.
And if it's a uh like a music podcast, like Concerts That Made Us, I listen to them on Spotify because they play music throughout
Yeah.
their interviews, which is I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. Is that owned by Spotify? Do you know?
It's well, yeah, he uses Anchor
Okay.
for that,
Okay.
and I think Spotify owns Anchor too,
We do own Anchor, yeah.
right?
Yeah, Anchor's
Yeah.
that's another hot take. I think Anchor's a mess.
That's another, and to bring up Anchor also, a lot of podcasters that I know are they're looking for other hosting services because Anchor is just becoming a
Yeah.
nightmare for them,
I
even
was-
though it's free.
I always tell
It's a
people
free app, right?
Yeah, it's free. I always tell people don't use Anchor. First of all, if you look at the terms that you sign up for, it's technically your podcast is owned by Spotify, which makes me uncomfortable.
What?
They're
Really?
not going to act upon that, but should they
Uh-huh.
ever one day decide to do that, I don't really want all the hard work that I put in going to Spotify. You
Yeah.
know, I don't want them just claiming it one day. But
Yeah.
also, it's just you'll see these reports that say there are now 2 million podcasts. But what you don't see is how many of them aren't podcasting anymore. I think there are only like
Yeah. It's like 6%, right? Something.
Yeah.
It's a low number.
it's like of the 2 million podcasts that exist, I think it's only like 300,000 that actively have had an episode out in the last 90
Yeah.
days. Because it's so easy with Anchor to make one and then put it out there, and then most people are like, "All right, that was it's a good experience, but I only got 10 downloads, and I don't feel like working on that," and so it just stops and it just lives there.
I think there's a major issue with don't get me wrong. I mean, it's cool to start a podcast. I'm probably going to shoot myself in the foot for saying this, but the problem is that they make it so easy to produce a podcast. But that's the thing. It's not easy. It's really not.
Yeah, that's
And I think they're selling the fallacy that it's easy. And I think that's the problem.
And there are so many like bloggers and media outlets that make it seem like if you want to get rich, have a podcast, and they ignore the fact that like what you're saying, it takes a lot of effort to make it sound good. It takes a lot of effort for it to grow. Like there's a lot that goes into podcast, even with the YouTube also. Like YouTube's the same way, because it's free to do.
Yeah.
Granted, iPhones have such good camera quality now that at least it looks pretty good. Like we still use an iPhone on ours. I just got like a 12 Pro, so like I have the benefit of like a newer camera.
Oh, sweet.
On there.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
That
But you still need like
you have like a whole DSLR camera in your pocket.
Exactly. You keep it there. With the YouTube, you still need really good lighting though if you want it to look good. That's like something I've learned with video is like, good lighting is key. But with podcasting, it's a lot more complicated. Like you can record on your iPhone or your iPad for sure. but it's not
Yeah.
going to sound that good. And even if you do get a nice mic, like there's a pretty big learning curve if you're not an audio engineer, or if you've never touched audio
Yeah.
before, and it can be intimidating.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not that like, oh, I'm just going to blow up overnight and have like 1 million all of a sudden. Like I don't think that actually happens in the podcast world at all. I think it's usually what you see is a podcast blow up, right? In quotation marks. What you don't see is the years of work that went into that to get it there.
Right. Yeah. They look at it as 100 million. Sure, I could.
Yeah.
If Joe Rogan can do it,
to
anybody else
talk?
can do
Oh
it.
yeah, I could talk with my friend.
Yeah.
It does.
I could
It
totally
does
do
seem
that.
easy. That's the thing. It's a very approachable medium to start with. It's hard to stay
Mhm.
in it. It's very hard to stay. I
Yeah.
think it's like 90% fail after the 8th episode. I think that's what the mark is.
Right.
So that's
oh,
what-
they went up.
Yeah, it used to be 6. It's now
Since-
8. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It depends on which report you're reading. Sometimes I still see the
Mhm.
number be 6 in 2021, but I've been noticing 8 is like the
Yeah.
pod fade number that they're reporting now, which is what
That's what. Yeah, that's what I was shooting for when I first started. I was like, you know
Same.
what? Just let me reach the 8. Well, back then I think it was 6
yeah, probably
in 2019.
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's gone up
6
just
or-
like a little bit. Like 8.
Well, 2020. Never mind. I started this podcast in 2020 in the
Again,
midst
I've seen
of the
some
COVID pandemic.
I've seen some that say 6 still in 2021. I think it just
Yeah.
depends. I think it depends which reports you're reading at the time
Yeah.
and like what analytics they're using. Because I think that number actually came for. So I use Libsyn to host my all of our podcasts are hosted on Libsyn,
Mhm.
and the reports that I see from them say 8, but that's only using Libsyn stats. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
not industry wide. So it probably is 6 actually.
It could be.
Yeah, well, especially with all those just one episode Anchor podcasts that you get out there. I think it's good to try though. I shit on Anchor and it being free. I think it's good though to at least try. I was the
Yeah.
same way though. I was like, can
I'll-
I get past that mark? Like, just make it past like
Yeah.
the 6-8 episode mark, and you'll be good. Just continue.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely you said something about quitting after the episode, or after the 6th episode. There's definitely I'm gonna call it a podcast fatigue, podcaster fatigue,
Oh yeah,
because you do all this work, right, and you're expecting a huge big payoff, whatever that may be. Who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows what that payoff is? Is it the 100 million? No. Is it the 100 downloads? Possibly, but I mean, there's a place where you just need to keep going and look at reality,
yeah.
how it is.
I mean, it's like anything that you do in life that's new to you, though. It's gonna suck at the start, and it's gonna be hard, and it's gonna be, especially with podcasting, it's demoralizing because you start thinking like, oh, is it because of me? Is it like my personality? Could it be my voice? Could it be what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Do people not like who I am? Because I don't know about you, but like when I first started my podcast that I co-host, Binge Bros, before Amalfi Media even started, before we had the 6 other podcasts, it was like our first month, like our first full 30 days, we had 14 downloads. And I think that came all from me and my co-host just making sure it sounded right. And then the next month it was like 28. And that really blows when you're putting in like all this effort and this work every week to make sure it's like good. Am I providing entertainment? Is this quality? Like, are we improving? And you put in all this work and you see, oh, it's only 28, 60 days in. Like this sucks. But it's like exponential growth. And again, it's like anything new that you're doing, you get better the more you do it. We hit our 1-year mark for Binge Bros a few weeks ago. And then another one of our podcasts, Snapshots.
Happy birthday.
Yeah,
Binge
happy birthday,
Bros.
Binge Bros. Snapshots has its birthday on Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday.
Nice.
And you get better the more you do it. And it's like exponential growth. 14 to 28 isn't big. But if you double your audience maybe the next month, which is asking for a lot to double it, it starts growing bigger. But even if like 2 people share it the next month, and then 4 the next month, and then 8, it slowly grows and adds up over time.
Yeah.
And what
as long as you're working at it, right?
exactly. And a tip for
Yeah.
anyone who might be wanting to start a podcast, audiences like seeing dedication. They like when you look at a podcast, you see how many that, well, you don't always do this, but a lot of people will see how many episodes do they have, how long have they been doing it for, because usually that's like validation in a way. It's like, oh, like they're 60 episodes in, they must have at least some sort of audience if they've been doing it for this long. Otherwise they would have quit if they had nothing, otherwise they wouldn't be doing it anymore. So the more you put out there, the more rewarded you get in terms of an audience size and in terms of growth. So that's a huge thing. Keep at it. That's like the most important thing.
Yeah. That I think to comparing yourself to somebody, to comparing your beginning to somebody's middle, or to somebody's, I guess, there's really no end that you can say, but comparing yourself takes all the fun out of it. Sucks the fun out of it when you start comparing yourself to a podcast or an artist or a painter or gym rat that has been at it for months, maybe even years.
Yeah, exactly. In most cases, you don't see the years of work that someone else has put in and the effort. And that, we talked at the top. This might have actually been before. I think it was at the top. We talked about COVID weight, right? Gaining weight.
Yeah.
Something I don't like to talk about too frequently, but it just ties into what we're talking about. I used to weigh, I was like 290 pounds, and I've lost like 60 pounds since then total. Yeah, I've gained some since COVID, right?
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. But it's a lot of hard work, and at the start, like, you're always comparing yourself to the other people in the gym. You're saying like, man, that guy makes it look so fucking easy. Like, he makes it look like it's a joke, or like that chick could fucking beat me up. Like what the hell is this? Like, But you don't see that guy at the gym has probably been doing it for years, or that girl at the gym has been doing it for years to get to where they are. And you're not in there every day with them seeing the day in, day out work that they're putting in. But you just got to remember, like, it really is a matter of time and energy output and the commitment you put into it. I think there's a good quote there. It's like, showing up is half the battle. I definitely agree with that. If you just show up, you're already better than you were before, which is important.
Yeah. Yeah. And the cool thing about, at least podcasts, what I like to do, I like to go to, I don't know, do you go back on your older, say your first 3?
Oh yeah. All the time.
Podcasts.
I will, yeah, man, I will listen to our very first episodes, or I will watch our first YouTube videos on the cooking show all the time. And I will be like, how the fuck did we stay in this? Because we were so bad. Like, it was awful.
But when you go back, you critique yourself and you say, okay, this is what I want to change. This is what I want to sound like.
Right.
This is the end result. So you're using your own platform to make yourself better. And I think that's what I do when I go back and listen to the last, like, I look at quality, sound quality, and back then I didn't do video, but mostly content and how I talk. But even back then, it was heavy edited. It was like I spent hours and hours and hours on editing, and now I really don't edit that much, which is I think that was one of the goals that I wanted to do, was do a show that was completely unedited. And some of that is, some of that's happening right now, and I think it's cool. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I definitely, for all of our shows, it starts where you got to edit more, and again, you get better at your craft, Like, I would hope that someone get better after a year. I would hope.
Yeah, you have to. After 1 year birthday, you better start walking.
Yeah, exactly.
Or at least starting to talk.
Yeah, you might not be running yet, but at least you're moving better than you were before. At least maybe you have like a step you can do, or something to show for yourself. But that's another thing I think people find hard, though, is self-criticism. Not like in a bad way, but like the ability to look back at your work, even if it's not a podcast or anything, and just analyze what you could be doing better. Because I think a lot of people think, especially podcasters, I feel like you have to a degree, enjoy hearing yourself to start podcasting. So I think a lot of podcasters especially have trouble critiquing themselves. But that's like very important. That's incredibly important to analyze like the way you talk, the phrases you do, how like what's your entertainment value? Like, are you actually even good at it? Like you gotta work on that. You gotta pay attention.
You gotta work on, and you gotta practice too.
Yeah, and that's what
practice.
I think,
and I'm gonna let you in on a little Mindbuzz secret, but when I'm in the car driving by myself and I'm listening to a podcast or listening to a radio, I talk to the podcast, and I would phrase like a paragraph or an answer or something. I would talk to the podcast to see how I would sound.
That's that's something I do too. Actually, I don't do it to a podcast, but I'll just talk to myself in the car.
Oh yeah,
fucking psycho in that regard.
I do that with jokes with my partner, and if it doesn't hit right, or if I don't get a laugh or a chuckle, I fix it. I go back and I tell it to her again, but she's like, "Okay, why are you repeating yourself? It's not funny, dude. You're not funny." No, she doesn't say that. She's like, yeah, okay.
Suck.
But hold it, yeah. Roasted. But I mean, she's like, "Stop it, just stop, quit." No, but you go on the podcast and you try that out with somebody, and if it's all practice, you might hit the mark, you might not. I mean, the more you do it, the more I don't know. I guess it's science, right?
It is, yeah.
The more you do something, the more you'll get it.
Reading a book out loud is another good way to practice. I'll do that a lot.
That's another good one.
If I'm reading, I'll just start reading it out loud. It's a good way to get like intentional practice in just talking, because that's so important to a podcast. It's just literally talking. So it's a very valuable skill to train yourself. But yeah, no, man, I do the same thing. I'll just talk to myself in the car.
Yeah.
Which I think maybe some people would think is a little bit weird, but I mean, it's also I'm trying to get better at what I do for a living. So I got to do it somehow.
You're sharpening your craft.
Yeah. Which is just, again, important regardless of what you do, sharpen your craft. I'm a little bit obsessive with the things I do, though, so.
Yeah, I have dude, I'm right there with you, man. I have an addictive personality. Yeah. Once I zone in on not even a topic, but once I zone in on, like a thing, like podcasting, going to the gym, reading books, I don't know, setting flat earth, I dive deep into it.
Yeah. In some regards, it is very beneficial because like I have no formal training in how to edit. I have no formal training in audio engineering. And if I wasn't as obsessive, I don't think I could have learned that. Because again, there's a huge learning curve to it, especially at the start. And it's intimidating. So having an obsessive personality in a lot of regards has helped.
Yeah.
And like the fact that all I think about really is just Amalfi Media and how to help us grow. How can we improve? Great for that. Yeah. But at the same time, I sometimes feel bad for like my friends who have to deal with me and have to listen to me just nonstop talk about podcasting or making YouTube videos or starting a company. I feel bad. I don't have a relationship with anyone right now, but should I feel bad for them because I know they're just going to have to listen to me talk about Amalfi Media or podcasting. Here's the interesting thing, a funny one about podcasting. So I am on Tinder a lot, like because why not? And a great way to spread your podcast is via Tinder. Let me tell you, I just put in my bio like I love movies and TV shows. I love talking about movies and TV shows, and then I'll match with people. And if they're into the same movies and TV shows as me, I'll be like, "Oh, that's so interesting. Here's my podcast." And I'll just send it to them. And it's gotten me some really good matches actually. Some people will be like, I love your vibe. I love your energy. I love your voice. I want to hang out with you. And then I'll be like, too busy. Sorry.
Too busy podcasting. Sorry.
Don't have the time. It was harder with COVID because I was like, I don't really want to go out in public places with random people I don't know. But now that now that I have the vaccine, and it seems like everything's getting back to some degree of normalcy, maybe I'll actually hit up some of these chicks and be like, all right, yeah, you still into me now? Let's see. Like COVID's over.
Yeah, that's another struggle too. I mean, everything's opening up now, and you have to leave your house now, and it's a pain. I'm pained by it. I'm pained.
Rusty.
You're gonna take me away from my laptop and my mic? Why?
Laptop,
no.
my TV. This has become my life for the past.
Leave
year.
me.
What do you mean?
Exactly.
No, I am so rusty when it comes to socializing right now, and like especially like meeting like any girls that I might be interested in, because I'm like, how the fuck do I talk to females again? How does that work? What do I say? Or like even like if I'm just talking to a dude like at a bar, it's like how do I bond with people again? What is this whole concept about? Because it's been so
like,
long.
hey, do you like podcasts?
So what are you? How about this weather?
Yeah.
So COVID, right? There was a really funny SNL skit actually about like all the COVID conversation at parties now. It's like, so how was your quarantine? Like, yeah, good.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Or another one too is kind of I'm gonna get dark here, but people asking if you've gotten a vaccine. I think that's
uncomfortable.
Yes.
Very personal.
Yes,
thing
or
to
when
ask.
Very personal, or when you're talking when you're even just talking about the quarantine and like vaccines come up, I'm turned off already.
Right. Yeah, so like my opinion, I personally like I don't mind getting the vaccine, but like I don't like if you don't want to get the vaccine, that's your prerogative. Like that, okay,
right?
Like that's fine. Don't get it if you don't want it. There's so many reasons you might not want it. That's fine. Like it's your body, you make that decision. But like the people who are like so like I went out like last weekend and some random person was like, "So what vaccine did you get? You Pfizer, Moderna, J&J?" I'm like. Like, okay, that's wow. Woo! You're going straight to it, man. You're really just going into it. I just tend
for it, man.
Yeah, I just tend to stay away from that entire conversation though. In social
settings. Moderna or J&J?
Yeah, I could imagine people just judging others. But oh, you're J&J, really, dude? Really, you're Moderna?
You got one shot.
Yeah, I'm Pfizer. Okay, go fuck yourself. I'm Pfizer. I only do designer drugs over here.
I'm gonna go hang out with the kids that were the brand name stuff over here, because we got Pfizer.
Dude, I just don't understand why, like after everything that's happened the past year, why you would want to socialize again and just talk about COVID more. Like in what world? It's like, no, I'm here to like have a beer and hang out. I don't want to talk about quarantine. I don't want to talk about COVID. Let's just talk about like fucking sports. Let's talk about movies. Let's do anything besides that type of conversation, please.
Yeah. It gets tiring, dude.
It does.
Like it really does. It takes a lot out of you.
It's a little bit different, like when I was talking with you at the top of this, because California is just so separate from South Carolina. We're literally on opposite coasts here. Like we're on the exact opposite side of the countries. Like with other people in South Carolina, it's like I know what it was like here. You know what it was like here. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah. Well, how was it over there for you?
I mean, for me, I just had to be. Well, it depends at which point, because there was a point where I was living in like an island town working, and then when we started Amalfi Media, I moved back home to my parents' places where I'm podcasting at right now. Cool. And it was a lot more relaxed when I was on the island, just because there were less people. No one was. I mean, I think the average age was maybe 70 at the time, so it's not like I could even really go out anyway. There was no city, there was no poppin' bar to go to. So it was pretty normal to me. Just go to work, come home, and it was like as I was starting Amalfi Media and podcasting. So I was, even at the time, I wasn't going out because I was so just focused on learning about podcasting. And like when you have a 9 to 5, like I could only work on the podcast and the YouTube after work. And I was also coming home.
Yeah.
Like I'd leave work on Friday. I'd drive 4 hours to come to my house where my parents are, and I'd shoot the YouTube videos. And I'd leave Sunday, another 4 hours back. Yes, like my time was so stretched. I was like, I can't even do shit anyway. So it didn't.
Wait, hold on. 4 hours commute?
It was just once a week. It was to
Oh,
go
okay.
shoot the YouTube video since my
Oh,
mom
right.
posts the YouTube videos. Well, I have
Yeah.
to go back and record those. No, it's
Yeah.
not a daily thing. No, that was
Oh,
wow.
okay.
That
I was like 4 hours. Damn.
No,
That's
no.
like 8 hours a day. You're just driving. That's a whole nother job.
Yeah, no, God,
Driving.
no. So at that phase, it was just like, well, I can't really do anything anyway. And then I eventually quit my
Yeah.
job, moved home, Amalfi Media full time, and I had to be more cautious because I have parents. I have to be responsible for. It's not just me and a roommate anymore. It's like these people that matter to me a lot. Not that my roommate didn't matter
Yeah.
to me, but he was my age also. So the likelihood of him getting anything serious was pretty low. So
Yeah.
it was a little bit tough when it got into the thick of it here, especially because in South Carolina, a lot of people just didn't really care. Like people would still go to bars, people would still do shit the whole time. And again, that's in my opinion, that's your
Yeah.
prerogative. If you want to do that, go to town. So I just stayed
Yeah.
in a lot, but it's weird, man, because, and this is something I talk about I'll touch about this on Binge Bros. Not much because,
Mhm.
it's a movie, TV show, podcast, and we try to stay on focus with that. But
Right.
in this time that was so dark and there's so many deaths happening and all these terrible things are going on around you, it provided me the opportunity to start something that I love. Like I could not have started Amalfi Media if I didn't have the opportunity to just stay in all the time and have no distractions, and for my student loans
Yeah.
to be deferred. Like that was a huge benefit to
Right.
me. Like I haven't had to pay student loans because I graduated. That's the reason I had to get a job, was because fuck, I have to pay my student loans
Yeah.
off, and like the deadline
Same
comes.
thing happened to me. Which
Yeah, like
was
a deadline
sweet.
comes, you have to pay it every month.
Yeah.
Like it got to a point where I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I got to do something, and then
Yeah.
COVID hits, student loans are deferred, and then they're pushed back even more, so I have even more time. I have zero social distractions. I can't do anything. Like I'm not socializing, and like I have this need almost to at least talk to people. So
Yeah.
it's weird that something so dark could also spawn something that I love so much and that I'm genuinely happy doing. It's just it's weird how life works like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always try to make
we're
a positive,
we're squeezing a positive out of something that is just completely turned our world upside down.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so weird how life turns out like that sometimes, and for certain people, because I know there are a lot of people who have not had many positives come out of this whole situation, and that's unfortunate. And I wish I could help them in some way with that. But for me, it's weird. There's this positive out of this negative that I would have never expected. I would not have expected a pandemic to be the reason that I started a company and I quit my job and do it full time and podcast, talking to a mic for a living.
Yeah. Have you always listened to podcasts or followed any type of media or platform like that?
Yeah, I've been listening to podcasts since like 2008. So I have a sister who's 2 years older than me, and that was like really at the early stages of podcasting. And she was so my sister's 2 years older than me, and she would share her podcast that she listened to with me, and that was like when I had like an iPod with the scroll wheel and whatnot, and like you had to download it into the iPod. And I would listen then, and then during college I stopped listening as much just because you're always around friends, you're always around people, like there's always a party to go to, or there's something to study for, which I found podcasts are really good for people who actually work and who are out of college, which is a lot of people think podcasts are for old people, but really podcasts are for people who have a job or like responsibilities. Like if you do the dishes, podcasts are great for that. Or if you have a 9 to 5 that allows you the opportunity to have headphones, it's great for that. But if you're studying, if you're in college and you already have social stuff,
it's hard.
It's very difficult to do. So during college, I didn't listen to podcasts as much. I still, I would listen every once in a while, just not daily. And then when I had my job, I was listening all the time. Actually, though, most of the time during my job, what I would do, so I had a job in manufacturing, which I really appreciate the job I had because it literally afforded me the opportunity to start Amalfi Media, like to get just all the equipment we needed, logos, branding, website, whatever it might be. But during my job in manufacturing, what's nice about manufacturing is you can have headphones in all day. So I'd have my phone face down, and I just like the night before work, I would load up a queue on YouTube with 8 hours worth of like audio engineering, like tutorials and instructions, and I would just listen to
Oh
that.
wow.
I know, I just like as I'm doing my job, because it's so repetitive, I'm doing the same thing every day for a year.
Yeah.
As I'm doing that over the year, every day I'm just listening to tutorials on audio engineering or on equipment and understanding like how is a mic even like made. Like to me, I really like to pick apart the
Oh,
pieces
okay.
of everything. It's not just understanding the audio, but it's like how does the signal from my voice come into the magnets, and what are the electronics associated with that gets sent out through the wires that go to my audio interface. What's
Yeah.
like the history behind that? How does that work? Interestingly enough, the one of the most important technological revolutions for the microphone is this thing called a FET, FET. And one of the things that I had to do in manufacturing all day was squeeze these FETs into a certain shape for the tools that we use them for. It wasn't for microphones. It was so ironic. I was like, oh,
Really?
that's interesting, because I work with this electronic device every single day, and it relates to what I want to actually be doing in such an odd way. That was interesting to
What
me.
does what does the FET do? Like I know that there's similar, there's actually there it's a piece of equipment that you can use to plug into your mic. They have
Yeah,
like a
like
I use a cloud lifter. I mean
exactly. Yeah.
there's another brand called FET Head.
Yeah, FetHead, Cloud Lifters, they're both also, they have a bunch of FETs in them. There are FETs already in our mic,
Okay.
and there are FETs in the FET heads, but basically it's just it allows for a certain like amount of electricity to pass through something. In its simplest
Mm.
form, that's what it does.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
very simple device that revolutionized the audio industry in such a small way.
Really?
Yeah, and they're like these tiny things too. They're not big, but yeah, that's what that should be. I think because I used to have a FET head also, and then I got rid of it. I was like, I don't actually need it for what we do. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what's in a FET head or like a cloud lifter, but I think it's just a bunch of like mini FETs in there that just help
Oh,
amplify the signal across.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that is the like, again, that's another example. I'm appreciative of the job I had. It wasn't what I wanted to be doing, but even though I wasn't
Yeah.
doing what I wanted to do, it allowed me the opportunity to learn. So even
Yeah.
with again, it's like COVID, something that might be negative in your life could have positives in your life that you are unaware of at the time
Yeah.
in many
Or
ways.
you're using what you learned at your different job or your college classes or something, and really applying it to something that you really want to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, and college is one of those things too where I go back and forth between recommending college to people and not recommending college to people, but ultimately I think I do recommend college to most people. Like at least
It's
like a year or a
yeah.
semester or community college. You don't have to go to like, a $60,000 a year school just to get the experience. But I think there's something to be said
Yeah.
about at least observing a few college lectures and understanding the process of learning. I think that's probably the most important thing I learned in college was
Yeah.
how to learn, especially with something you
Right.
don't know. Like again, I could not have started Amalfi Media. We could not have started podcasting if we didn't have that ability to at least learn something you don't know. I think college is very good for that. Also good for socializing. Having social skills is very important.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, we're as humans, we're fucking social primates.
Right? Yeah. That's like another thing that I always had in the back of my mind. Like in high school, I was really bad at socializing,
Oh yeah,
generally with
same here.
people like I didn't know. That was always the hardest barrier for me. Once I got to know you,
Yeah.
I could do it. But I'd read so many interesting books and studies that said the only reason we are where we are as a species is because of our complex social structures.
Yeah.
And to
And
me,
our language.
yeah, exactly. The way we communicate, the way that we form
Yeah.
bonds, like even subtle like eye language or body language, the way that you compose yourself. So I really set out in college to try to just, if you know that the only reason we are advanced as we are is because of our social structures, try to understand that better and try to get better at that. If you can communicate better with people, and get along better with people, that takes you so
Yeah.
far in life, because that's the only reason we are at a point where affects a technology that makes it like possible, or that we can fucking send people to space. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
We couldn't do that without
Yeah.
socializing. That's like, so to me, that was a big thing at college. Like, I have thousands of people around me. I'm going to learn how to socialize.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wonder what college professors think of flat Earth.
I'm sure college professors probably shit on flat earthers, but there are some wacky college professors too. Not, I don't want to say all flat earthers are wacky people, and I don't mean any disrespect, even though I disagree with that. Even though I disagree with that belief, there are some college professors who I could see vibing with it.
Yeah.
What
did you study in college? You said you got
political
studied political science, right?
Yeah.
I took one course of political science that I needed.
I sort of knew early on I didn't actually want to do anything related to politics. But what I liked about political science was that you got to learn a little bit about everything. So you had to take certain philosophy courses. You had to take It was like anthropology, psychology, philosophy, history, all bundled into this one major. Because like, I don't want to just do history. I don't just want to do psychology. I don't just want to study anthropology. All of those fascinate me. And in that, I found political science sort of studies all of those things in a unique way. So that's why I gravitated towards that. I wasn't really interested in the politics side of it, because politics infuriates me personally. I fucking hate politics. Says the political science major. But again, you can learn a lot of very different things by doing that degree. And that's very valuable to me. Yeah. Knowledge is really valuable to me, just learning in general.
Yeah, what I took out of that class was just the history of I think that's what I loved about it, was you got to learn a lot of history. Even with I studied music also, and when I took the history of rock and roll, I think we only did like I think it was like a 10 decade out of the history of rock and roll, and that was just, man, it was so cool. Like I don't know, because I love history, so learning the history of like how, something that's such a big part of my life, like rock and roll and music and stuff, was just freaking eye opening.
You really should check out my dad's podcast then, Snapshots. I know this is a good plug though, but he talks about, like, he does these special episodes on there called Listen to the Music. And for the most part though, his podcast is more history based. It's nostalgia and history, but like, if you want to learn something, it's so good for that. Huge benefit of editing all of our podcasts is I learned so much from all.
So you edit all of those, dude?
I edit them all. I produce them all. It's a lot of work. That's why I was telling you I was busy really early on when we were trying to schedule something. It can be a pain sometimes, but I agree with you.
Damn, that's cool, man.
That's really cool. History's fun. History is such an interesting topic. Yeah. Do you agree that we can learn from the past or not? Because I feel like some people go back and forth. Some people say we can learn from our past and that history repeats itself. Some people say history is more of a blueprint for things to come. What are your opinions on that?
You can. I think the problem is we can learn from history, but are we actually learning, or are we just repeating it? Like, you can all day you can know what has happened in the past, but if you're not doing anything to change the outcome of what history has produced, then you're just I guess there's something in us that we always want to know what's going to come, and we know the outcome, and we don't want to change it. We just want to leave it for the universe to take its toll on history. But I think that if we take history and we want a different outcome, then you do that. You don't do what you did before. You actually you learn from it rather than repeating it again. So it's good to listen to learn from history, but it's even better to act upon it.
I think it's just tricky. I think it can go either way. I think it all depends, because I think it's like preparing for things you've seen happen before, but then there's always the unseen. There's always the unexpected.
Yeah.
Like, as a result of COVID, I have a feeling we're
Yeah.
going to be very precautious when it comes to deadly diseases, right? We're going to do a lot of things to prevent other COVID type events from happening.
Mm-hmm.
But what about all the other events that could be happening? You know, we can only focus on so much. What are we not seeing that might be happening? Or another example, and I think this is something that Americans are having to struggle with right now, but, you know, great empires can only last for so long. There's never been one country, one government, one people who has been
Athens
at the
gone.
top. Exactly. There's always
Roman Empire.
There's
gone.
always something that happens, and I think that's something we're seeing with the growth of China. That's something we're seeing, although I don't think China can really get as big as people think it will without some type of revolution happening inside. If you also pay attention to history, like we've been saying, that's a fascinating one to study. But, you know, that's something as Americans that we're seeing, and I think it's hard for some of us to deal with that.
Let me ask you this. So, what's your opinion on where am I going with this? The statues of white supremacists and all these statues that people are wanting to take down. What's your perspective on that?
Oh man,
should we let them stay, or should we take them down and put up brown people, put up a slave owner, or not a slave owner, but slaves or something?
Right. I think it's a very complex topic, but I think that first, I do think we should draw more attention to. We as a nation, we have such a fascinating history that goes beyond just white people, right? Like, you have a very, like, look at the railroads that could not have been done without Asian Americans. Look at different industries that couldn't have been done without Italian Americans, different industries that couldn't have been done without Mexican Americans. They're very interesting histories that could not have been done without the help of everyone that's come here. We're a ethnic mosaic. A lot of people say we're a melting pot, which I think is inaccurate, because a melting pot implies that everyone comes together and becomes one. Whereas I think the value of America is that people come here and we all have such different cultures and unique backgrounds that we're more of a, as I was saying, an ethnic mosaic where we live together.
That's a good term to put it.
It's all so different, though. Each piece is different, but it combines to make the whole. So I think we need to draw more attention to those people. But at the same time, I think we should modify. I think we should keep up certain statues, but modify it to draw attention. Maybe educate people on why this person was bad. You know, like keep the statue up and have like a piece, like, you know, I don't know what it's called, like a icon there that says, this person fucked up bad. And this is an example of what you don't want to be. This is an example of what's wrong to do. Because how else can you know what is right if you don't study what is wrong? If you don't understand all the wrong things that people have done. Erasing it completely is awful. I think moving it to a museum is acceptable. I don't see why we don't do that. Like, maybe like put it in a museum and then highlight.
There you go.
This person did a lot of bad shit. Here's all the shit they did that was bad. Understand why it's bad. But it leads to a slippery slope, because then you see people knock down statues of Abraham Lincoln. There's a very famous statue.
Really?
This happened over the summer. There's a very famous statue that happened at the end of it was made at the end of the Civil War, and it was commissioned to a black gentleman. I can't remember his name right now. And he designed it, he made it, he created it all himself. And it's Abraham Lincoln, like, holding out a hand to slaves and lifting them up. And a lot of people did not understand the history behind that. And they thought it was a statue of Abraham Lincoln trying to push down the slaves. So they knocked it over.
Yeah.
So it's ironic when a cause that is trying to help a group of people tears down a statue that symbolizes the things that you're trying to do right for the country. Like, there are some things that are good. And the same thing with George Washington. Like, there are a lot of bad things George Washington did, but you can't ignore, you know.
Yeah, he had, I read somewhere where he had he had like he was they weren't wooden teeth, that they were teeth from slaves.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's pretty terrible. That's such a pretty terrible
Yeah.
thing. He did terrible things, but he also. What about the other impacts he had on this country? You can't ignore
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah,
highlight
exactly.
both. Like you can highlight both
Right.
aspects of a person.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
the people like the Confederate statues, like just put them in a museum and highlight, why these
Right.
people are fucking losers, in my opinion.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because that's an interesting topic from where I'm from too. Because you'll see a lot of Confederate flags, and to me, it's
Oh,
just like
really?
so many. And it's weird,
Wow.
because again, I grew up in the North, and then I moved to South Carolina, so I see these Confederate flags,
Uh,
and like in the back of my mind, I'm always like, they know
South
they're the
Carolina.
losers, right? Like they lost. Like that's not like a good look. It's like carrying
Mm.
around a Decepticon flag. It's like, why would you
How
do that?
long ago was, I mean, it's incredible how long ago that the Civil War has taken place, right?
Yeah, I know.
But
Like the
it's
fact that there you still see symbolism around from it blows my
yeah.
mind. But it's just like, why? Like, so down here in South Carolina, that's a heated debate and a heated topic. But I mean, I'm very
Yeah.
much like put them in a museum and highlight the
There you
education
go.
behind it. But
Yeah.
I don't see why they need to be out in the streets. I don't see why we need to knock them all down. And I don't like.
South Carolina, is that a predominantly is it a Democrat state, or
Oh
I
no,
don't
it is a
I don't know.
strong red state, very strong
It's a
red
red
state.
state?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like one of the leading red states, um, in the
Mm,
nation. A very strong, red presence in South Carolina.
really?
Oh yeah, it's one of the big early ones in presidential primaries too. It very much determines the outcome of who the candidate will be. It doesn't really. We don't have enough people for it to impact the election as much, but it
Yeah.
does impact who that front runner will be for sure.
Hmm.
It's an interesting state to study. I think it was
Yeah.
first shots of the Civil War, South Carolina.
Really?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And but no, that is a interesting topic though, because I see like I'm in a state where that's actually like I don't think there are any Confederate statues in California, right?
No.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure that's not a
Well,
thing.
no, if there was, probably not anymore.
Oh, definitely not. But yeah, I think to a degree I understand.
Yeah.
But when it does go to like the Abraham Lincoln statues, it's more like what? Why? Why
Yeah.
that one? Why that one?
Yeah. Yeah, that all that stuff doesn't really make sense.
Or like,
Yeah, I mean, but you bring up a good point. I mean, yeah, remove them. I mean, of course, if that's your prerogative, remove them, but put them in. There's a reason why that people made a statue, and there's a reason why people wanted to, showcase this person. So let's show maybe this isn't the right place. So move them somewhere
yeah,
where they could, be looked at,
yeah,
and teach the next generation what this person did, and what and how they changed, um politics, or changed whatever they're doing back
yeah.
then.
I think there's a lot about our education system that needs to be fixed, though. I feel like a lot of our problems that we have around the world, this is not just isolated to the U.S., around the world, have to do
Yeah.
with education. And
Yeah.
it's a very interesting, it's a touchy one also because, like, no one really knows what's the right thing to do when it comes to education. But I don't think erasing history is the way. I do think we need to do
No.
like here's something that I'm all like I've been thinking about for a while, but like
Yeah.
for me, right? I'm this 24-year-old white
Mhm.
guy who started a company, which is cool, right? I like that I started a company. It's fun to do.
Yeah.
But my whole life and my whole education, I have seen white guys do good shit, but I feel like we're never privy to the other cultures who have done really cool shit too. So of course, for me growing up, I can relate to these characters because they're just like me. But how many just look at the girls, like how many female or woman characters are there that you're taught about as heavily as you are the white man when it comes to that,
Yeah.
or like really any other cultures? It's very predominant, at least like skews men who are usually white. and that's relatable to me. So of course I think I can do anything. But I think we should make other people feel that way too. Give them idols that are relatable to them as well. I mean, that's important to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's very, very, very interesting because I'm thinking about it. I'm like, dude, okay, so what's one thing that I really like, and who's the one main person that is, the king of whatever that is, and it's 10 times out of 10 it's a straight white, you know, straight white male,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all,
I mean,
we need some unique idols that can relate to
mhm.
multiple different people. So I don't know, just having ambitions and hopes, I think it would help with that a lot.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
yeah.
mean, fixing the education system, that's a trip.
What's one thing that you think we should learn in high school
One thing
that's
we
not
should learn.
taught?
Critical thinking
Yeah.
is, I feel like, very slept on. I think there are a lot of,
Why do they leave it for college? I don't understand
I
that.
never got that either. I think that should be something we should do at a younger age. And philosophy too, just the whole idea
Yeah.
of how do you know what you know and why do you know what you know? That the fact that we saved that all for college really just, again,
Yeah.
it helps a lot of rich people, but not everyone has
Yeah.
the opportunity to go to college, so you don't get that unless you go to college. I think that's something, critical
Or
thinking. Yeah, teach that to young kids.
yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah. Or even learning how you sent this earlier on about learning to learn,
Yeah, that's a big one. Knowledge
or
is,
learning how to study. I
yeah,
think that's another thing.
I really do think that knowledge is the answer to most problems in life. I think if you have an understand, I think anyone can learn. That's the other
Yeah.
thing. I think everyone
Oh yeah.
has the potential to learn and to be
Yeah.
better today than they were yesterday. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm lucky because you can see the background behind me. I'm surrounded by books all the time, and I like to read
Oh yeah.
because that's what was taught to me. But not
Yeah.
everyone has the same parents I had who instilled those values in them. And the
Mhm.
education system does a terrible job making people love learning. What the education system in America does is produce workers, people who sit and do what they're told and don't
Mhm.
think beyond that. You're a good factory worker,
Right.
you're a good blue collar, white collar worker, you do what the boss says, you don't question it, and if you do bad, you get a bad grade or you get fired. That's what we do. We don't really produce a system of people who look at the whole picture and think a level beyond that or think a step deeper than that.
Yeah.
And it's a shame.
Yeah.
We need to do a better job with that. As someone who runs a media network, a digital media network, this is something I think about a lot because we have a platform that reaches thousands of people a month. And what is our responsibility when it comes to that? The private sector can help a lot when it comes to education.
Yeah.
So for us, we're trying to develop ways that, I love the entertainment we do. I absolutely love that. I love knowing that someone could be in the position that I was a year ago in a job that they don't like, and I can help entertain them. Or my dad can help entertain them, or my brother, or my sister, my mom, or my best friend
Yeah.
Joey. We can help entertain them and just help them get through work. But then I also want to help people learn deeper things on a deeper level. Like, we have a responsibility, everyone does, to help society
Yeah.
as a whole. And a lot of media companies choose the clickbait option and they choose the path of hate and outrage because outrage is really great for clicks. Great for
Yeah.
that. But you have to have a deeper responsibility than that. Like, there has to be more to life than just generating revenue. It's not all about just how much money am I making. It's what's the impact you have
Yeah.
on the future? What's the impact you have on the people around you? And it's very tricky.
Yeah. And it's very tricky to balance those two, because sometimes making money or making a certain amount of revenue doesn't coincide with maybe treating other people fairly or treating
Yeah.
the environment fairly. There's no middle ground. Again, there's no middle ground between the two.
And then when it comes to like the educational aspect, how do you
Yeah.
know that what you think is important education wise is important to everyone? How do you know that's the right thing to teach, or that that's the right thing that people should be learning? Which is why I say,
Yeah.
and I repeat, it's tricky because it is. It's a lot to think about, and it's a lot to juggle.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, especially with all the other stuff that is going on. What about the Green Deal thing? Have you heard anything about that? Even that's kind of, I don't know. That's tricky. You know, there's a Red Deal also.
What's the red deal?
The Red Deal. Let me. I want to look it up, but I don't want to butcher it too bad.
I think the Green Deal is interesting. I don't think it's the right way to go. I don't think it's the right way to do it. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of big government in general. I don't really like the government telling us what to do, getting their hands in things.
Yeah.
I think the
But
private
dude,
sector.
that's what I maybe it's built into the political culture of of Donald Trump and what's his name, Joe Biden. It, it seems to me that under the office of Donald Trump, he kind of like he washed his hands of certain things, right, and just let states be states.
Right.
And it seems that Joe Biden just came in with an iron fist and is trying to put the government in places, in a lot of places where they're not, where they weren't before.
Right. Yeah. And then,
You know what I mean?
I get the whole argument that we're in the middle of a
Yeah.
pandemic. That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
But at the same time, if you look at government in general, government will happily take more power. They rarely give it back, though. They rarely let go. I mean,
Oh yeah.
after 9/11, for example, I think that was certain regulations were supposed to be temporary, but they haven't given that power back.
They haven't changed.
Yeah, they're spying on all. They're fucking spying on. They're breaking the Constitution as we speak and spying on all of us. I mean, Snowden showed
Yeah.
that to us, and they're not stopping. They have that power now because of the Patriot Act, because we were all so hurt by what happened. We let the government do it, and they're not about to release that. So I do I do get nervous. You give the government power, they're generally, for the most part, not going to give it back.
You think terrorists are in our state? Yes, of course. Here you go. Here's our rights.
Yeah,
there you go.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a slippery slope. And then if you look at the actual data, like
do we get them back?
Exactly. I don't think we do. I think it's too late at this point. I don't think
Red Deal.
much.
Okay, so I mentioned the Red Deal. So it's pretty much it's kind of like the Green Deal, but when the Red Nation released their call for a Red Deal, it generated coverage in places from Teen Vogue. Wait, hold on. Is this even the right thing? It's pretty much it's an indigenous way of it's kind of like the Green Deal, but instead of going and putting all this stuff into big corporations, it's more of an indigenous way to save the earth rather than going about it how the Green Deal is with all these tech companies and all these other companies.
I mean, these big tech companies scare me too.
Especially in the pandemic and how everything is done online.
Yeah.
I just had this realization I don't know, a couple months ago. Like, it's like, dude, like everything before this COVID-19 deal, right, was totally different. Like, you're doing business face to face. You had a face to companies and stuff, right? But now the human element is totally taken away from anything that you do, even freaking buying a pack of cigarettes or you can't even buy a certain flavor of cigarettes anymore. And that's another, I'll leave that for another rant for later. But you're taking the human element out of a lot. And have you heard that you can now buy cars? You can buy a new car online,
Yeah,
and they'll have it shipped to you and,
Yeah.
and delivered
Like
to you. That's
Carvana.
freaking nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, you see like those car like dispensaries almost in a way, like those towers with just cars, all that
Yeah.
Carvana stuff. Yeah, that's interesting. It's very
Domino's has a self-driving car to deliver you your pepperoni and cheese pizza.
Oh, of course. Sure.
Where's the people? Where's the people at?
Yeah,
What are you doing with this?
And it's like what we were saying earlier. We're a society that is only advanced because we're social. And these tools need to
Yeah.
be used to augment that
Yeah.
socializing, not take it away. And I feel like
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, tech is just slowly taking our ability to socialize away and making it so sterile. Like just living your life in your
Yeah.
phone. It's just like a sterile existence. You're so alone. Even though
Yeah.
you can reach billions of people, you're still alone in a sense. I found that,
Yeah.
nothing just beats that face-to-face interaction.
Yeah.
Especially like
It does.
with something like a podcast. I found now that I can socialize again to a degree. I mean, we're seeing more growth now because I can actually talk to people rather than just be one of the billions that is tweeting or one of the billions that is posting on Instagram or one of the billions that's trying to grow their podcast or grow whatever it might be online. Like it's just so overcrowded and so many people are afraid of face-to-face interactions now, not because of COVID, just because like the whole social anxiety part of it. That was before COVID even. Like people are just anxious now. Can't even have a phone call. Like our generation, I read a study, something like 80% of our generation is afraid of talking on the phone and gets anxiety from it. It's like,
Yeah.
so phone, you don't even see the person. Like you're just talking on the
Yeah.
other end.
We're one of the last generations to have a house phone.
Yeah, I know. I do. I remember
think.
those times. That was nuts. How old are
Yeah.
you?
I'm gonna be the 30 this year.
Oh, are you really? Wow, you're much
Yeah.
younger than that.
Yeah. Oh, I do.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I thought you were around my age. I'm 24. I'm the first of the Gen Zs. Fun fact.
Let's go with that.
I'm
Let's
actually
go with 24.
Yeah, you're 24.
I'm good with being 24 again.
I'm technically, I believe I'm actually a Gen Zennial. I think that's what I'm called because I was the
You
first
are.
of the Gen Zs.
You are. Never mind. I take that back. I'm the last one.
We had a
have
house phone because again,
house
that's why I'm a
phone.
Gen
Oh,
Zennial
yeah.
because
Yeah.
we also had a house phone for like the first 5 years of my existence, but I also grew up with all the technology and
Yeah.
I know how to use it.
Yeah, you're in a strange cohort where you're not totally part of the woke nation,
right.
but you're not totally part of the millennial. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like there's
I feel it too.
there's a certain piece.
Yeah, I guess it's just weird being the start of a certain technological revolution and being like born into watching it grow. But sometimes, and I know a lot of people that I graduated with who are my age who are also Gen Zennials, feel the same way. Like we feel like we don't really have anything we belong to, which I'm fine with. I don't really feel like I have to belong to anything, but I'm not
Really.
I'm not necessarily a straight Gen Z. I'm not necessarily a straight millennial. I'm just floating in between, which I think has some strong suits. Yeah, I like being an individual though, so I don't mind that.
Oh yeah. Would you say that that's part of the Gen Z culture, individuality?
I think Gen Zs act like they're individuals, but if you look at them, they think they're individuals
Oh.
because they wear Nikes or Adidas. They think just because they have the yellow Adidas, it makes them an individual.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You're one of
That
millions,
makes sense.
my guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you look at all the Gen Zs doing the ice in the vein thing online. It's like you all do the same
Wait,
shit.
the what?
It's a
What are they doing?
a TikTok trend. There was a basketball player who, like anytime he made a shot, he'd like point to his veins, and like now all these people like do that online. It's like you guys all do the same shit. Like TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, they all lead us to just like one culture. There's no like individual culture.
Oh, but they're individual, Natty.
But yeah, exactly. That's the thing. They all think they're individual. We all think we're individual. I mean, I like to say I'm an individual, but I mean, I'm wearing Adidas right now. You know, how individual am I? But at the same time, I think I'm at least a little bit more individual, quitting my job and doing something a little bit different with my life.
Yeah. That's very interesting too, because I think millennials kind of started this, but now Gen Z, they are capitalizing on leaving the normal 9 to 5
Yeah.
storyline that boomers and other cohorts kind of fed the nation. Now we are making now we're making we don't have the 9 to 5 anymore. Now we have we're mixing our lifestyle along with work, and that's no longer our primary focus. It's not. It's our primary focus is to actually live life,
Yeah.
but also make a generous income.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting topic for me because I don't mind working and I understand like you
Yeah.
can't just do nothing with your life. But also,
Right.
what is a life if you just do nothing? Like you have to do something. You have to live.
Yeah.
You can't just live by just watching Netflix all day. That can't just be your life. Like
No.
you have to find a way to make purpose. And for
Yeah. And I
me,
think that's let me interject.
oh,
I
you're
think
good.
that's what our that's built into our human psyche for us to grow and for us to do something.
Right. So it's interesting when I first
We need it.
started podcasting with Binge Bros, it used to actually be called Trenches of Knowledge. And
Mm-hmm.
because my friend Joey and I, we just graduated college, we were like, we really miss the learning aspect of life. And it's something we liked.
Mm-hmm.
So at first it was more of like a knowledge based podcast, but one of the
Okay.
early ones for
Yeah.
us was Stonehenge. And to me, I was looking at it and I was studying it and I was like, what was the purpose? I understand like it might have had religious symbolism, but like these people didn't have to build that, yet they still did. And that's because I think we have a desire to do something. We can't just sit and do nothing. We have to
Yeah.
have something that drives us. And if you look at studies of people who retire, they find that people who retire and just do nothing are generally more miserable and will die earlier than people who retire and do something, even if it's not like a 9 to 5, but like a hobby or
Yeah.
crafts of sorts. Like I think as people we're just designed to
Yeah.
do and to work.
Yeah.
Maybe not work like in like the capitalist sense or the 9 to 5 sense, but just to occupy our time and to occupy our minds.
Yeah. Yeah. But now that's not the focal point for us to work. Like it's changing in a very certain way. Like you would there's this book my friend told me about, Ilya. He was saying that it's something like you scratching the 9 to 5 or something along those lines of changing your mindset from a 9 to 5 mindset to like a whatever, condensing all your work into I don't know, just a couple of hours.
Yeah, there's a
And
popular
but
book called
that's on a entrepreneurial, I guess,
yeah.
I guess platform.
Yeah, there's a popular book called 4 Hour Work Week that like it
Is
talks
that what
about
it is?
that.
It's probably that. I think
That
that's,
might be it. And you know what I
yeah, it
found?
sounds like it.
Like I'm doing something that I love, and like
Yeah.
I can be done. Like my workflow is sped up a lot, and I can be done
Oh yeah.
working on editing after 4 hours. Yet I
Yeah.
still I can't stop at that. Like I have to continue afterwards. For me, it's just fun to like
Yes.
always be
Yes.
working and doing
Dude,
something. Like I can't just
I'm right
stop.
there with you, man.
Yeah, it's like to me, it's like okay, so you finished in 4 hours. Like, what am I just gonna like sit around all day? Like, I don't know. I can't just do that.
Yeah.
I can't just sit and do
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a very first world luxury, and this is gonna be a lot to unpackage. But we only have that luxury because we outsource slave labor to China. I mean, at the end of the day, people like to act like slavery is over. It's not over. We just outsourced it to another country, and we don't have to see
Yeah.
it. You like your $25 jeans because slaves made it. No one likes to think
Yeah.
about that though.
Yeah.
And to me, that's like that's fucked up. Like that's really fucked up to me. Like we act like we're above everyone else. We act like we're perfect and great, yet
Yeah.
we'll wear clothes 24/7 that allow us the luxury to sit at home and watch Netflix all day that were made by slave
Yeah.
and forced labor. Like, it's just, that doesn't vibe with me. Doesn't vibe well with me. I don't like that.
Yeah, like you said, with slavery, slavery it hasn't been changed, or it hasn't been stopped. It's just been reformed.
Yeah.
It's been reformed and shaped into something that we really can't take into consideration. Oh, that's slavery. No,
Yeah.
if I think that's where critical thinking comes in, and like you said before, uh, on the outskirts, really thinking about it, it's kind of slavery. Yeah, what you're doing, dude, is slavery.
Yeah. And it's
Or what certain countries are doing is we might not consider it slavery, but yeah, it might be.
yeah. And the 4-hour work week is great, but I think people need to acknowledge it's because of a very dark reality that we don't like to talk about, that we can do
Mhm.
that. We've become very much a service economy because of that. I can sit here and make podcasts because of that, which is what sucks to think
Yeah,
about. Really does suck to think about. But at the same time, what can one individual do to solve that?
yeah,
Like, when almost everything comes from that source, how are you supposed to stop that? That's a complex topic that involves all of us putting in an effort together.
yeah, yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, it's shitty to think about, right? Like, it's not like something fun to
Yeah.
think about. Like, I don't think anyone would get pleasure thinking about that. Maybe some fucked up people would.
Hmm.
Maybe some fucked up people would get pleasure thinking about that.
Yeah.
But not, I mean, it seems like you don't like get pleasure from thinking about that. I certainly don't. It's just I don't
No.
know, harsh reality. But we act like we're the best because we just don't see
Yeah.
it. We're
Yeah.
very removed.
I think that's what it is. We're closed off from that type
Yeah,
of knowledge.
absolutely. It's very
We don't
terrible.
know. I mean, is it the individual's fault for not knowing? Can we
Right?
put blame on the individual, or the blame is on where can we start?
I think this is this isn't a hot take. I think it starts with us moving all of our. So there are complexities to it. Robots, in a sense, solve the problem. Robots turn into the
Mhm.
manufacturer, and they can do it way more efficiently than any of us can. And they're good at
Yeah.
it. They're good at doing the same task
Yeah.
every day without having to go pee, without having to go to the bathroom, without needing
Right.
health. Yeah, I mean, you should get insurance on it, but relative to paying someone a living salary, robots are amazing for that. And
Oh yeah.
the revolutions it can have on manufacturing these products is fantastic. But what my issues that I see coming up are, who owns the capital then? Who owns the robots? Is it just a handful of rich, wealthy
Mhm.
people? And how do you make that accessible so that if you wanted to start a company in manufacturing, that you could afford $1 million machine that can make that? Or, like, is it just all in the hands of a few wealthy people?
It's
And
a monopoly.
it does become a monopoly in that sense. Like, but
Who
this,
handles all the information that all these robots are receiving? Some big high tech, company
yeah,
somewhere in California that's feeding all your robots all this information.
yeah, and it's the same thing with like AI. Like,
Mhm.
I couldn't make an AI. I couldn't afford to hire people to make an AI. You know how ridiculously expensive that is? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I could learn. Again, that's another thing, but I'm not going to spend the time learning that. I like what I
Yeah.
do right now, and it's not AI.
Mhm.
Just a lot of interesting things to think about, though.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you worried about the future at all? Are you scared of the future? Do you have high hopes for it?
I have high hopes.
Okay.
High
I
hopes.
think I have high hopes too. I think for the most
Yeah.
part I have high hopes. I think there's going to be some downs though until we get to the high hopes part. Until we get to that part that's good. I think we're seeing it
Yeah.
now, like with the internet.
Yeah. Well, we're at the top of the game, especially with just the way the internet is, and how the internet is now, and the amount of information that's on the internet, and it kind of sucks to see that the mainstream media is kind of ousting the internet. You don't get all your news from the internet. You need to come on Channel 11 and get all your news from there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Come on
Yeah.
SCNBC or whatever to there was something along the lines of I don't know, there was like all these weird kind of I guess it started with all the blood clot theories about the vaccine and about women and having irregular menstrual cycles or something like that. And then somebody on the news said, "Well, don't listen to the internet. This is what's going on." Oh, they you know what they called it? They called it Fact Check Friday.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's
I
Fact
forgot
Check
what
Friday.
news.
That's fine.
Yeah,
It's clever.
this is
It's
back
definitely
from
clever.
Fact Check Friday. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and then they have they gave out their email. Okay, well, if you want us to look at anything that you find on the internet, we will talk about it on the
Oh,
news.
man. Fact Check
That's
Friday.
scary.
Yeah, that's why I get my sources from multiple points.
Yeah.
You can't just trust one source because, I mean, bias is impossible to avoid in yourself, but also in sources. Even if a source says they're unbiased, they're not. It's impossible to avoid as a human. You can't be
Dude,
unbiased.
even the internet is kind of it's touchy. All the stuff you get from Wiki can be kind of that can be changed.
I could
You know
edit,
that,
I could
right?
edit all
Yeah,
that shit
anybody
right now.
knows it.
Yeah, I could do whatever I wanted to it.
Yeah, and when you search something on Google, it gives you hundreds and millions of options to choose from, but it based on the algorithm that your phone is reading or your computer is reading.
Yeah, based on your own biases, it'll feed you something.
Exactly. And that's scary.
It's it's terrifying. But I don't know. I think we'll figure it out. I think we'll get around it somehow. It's growing pains. The way I like to look at it is that the internet and social media are in their teenage years right now, and they're not mature adults yet, and that it's just a matter of helping. You know, like when you're a teenager, you need guidance, you need help, and teenagers rant, and teenagers, you know, they're dealing with puberty, and they have their mood swings.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the phase we're at with the internet.
Exactly. We're horny all the time, and we're thinking about ass, and we have acne on our faces, and we can't understand if this girl likes us or this boy likes us or something, or I have a hard on for my teacher or something. You know what I mean? It's
yeah, we just got to figure it out. We'll get there though. We'll find it out eventually.
We'll get it. We'll get it. Natty, this was cool, dude.
Yeah, great conversation. Thank you for having me on. I gotta say though, for everyone listening, check out all the Amalfi Media podcasts. AmalfiMedia.com has them all there. We barely got to touch on them. You heard about a few of them, but again, we have 6 podcasts, a YouTube cooking show.
Yeah, take some time, dude. Take some time for your plugs. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I'll quickly go through all of them. We got Snapshots, which I talked about in this Nostalgia and History podcast. We're switching it up a little bit though for the summer, so there's gonna be a little bit different schedule for that. From the Swamp to the Swamp, which is hosted by my brother Matthew. I gotta say, Snapshots is hosted by my dad Blaine, by the way. From the Swamp to the Swamp. If you love politics, give that a listen. It's hosted by my brother Matthew. Binge Bros, it's all things movie and TV and entertainment, hosted by me and my friend Joey. No Fear Finance is a financial literacy podcast geared towards young adults, more Gen Z, Gen Zennials who are just now entering the workforce, who are now taking on debts, student loans, trying to understand life. Yeah, finances are super important. So that's hosted by my sister Sarah. We have Dinner and a ... which is actually taking a break in the summer. That's also hosted by my dad Blaine, and that's like a what to do this weekend podcast. Mundane Madness, hosted by my friends Chase and Cooper, that's more lighthearted. It's just dumb debates, stupid things you wouldn't think could be debated that are debated. And then lastly, we got the YouTube channel No Fear Cooking, which is just phenomenal, hosted by my mother Magda. Her and I will be on sometimes. Usually it's just her, and we make fantastic food that's accessible, affordable, easy to make. We've got a lot of different shows. We have more coming too. Like I said, the educational side of things is coming. We're working on other podcasts, some sports stuff, and some merchandise.
Natty, do you have a website?
Yeah, AmalfiMedia.com. You can see everything over there. We just redid the entire website from the ground up within the last month, so it's been worked on. Looks snazzy, gotta say. Another thing I'm talking about, though, with the learning, I had no idea how the fuck to make a website. I had to learn that.
I'm on your website right now. Amalfi. So you just changed the format of how this looks?
Yeah, it was originally a Squarespace site,
Okay.
but we sort of outgrew Squarespace, which I knew would happen. It happened a lot faster than we expected. And now it's a custom WordPress site that I built, so a lot of time having to recatalog everything. But the good thing is we will never have to recatalog it again, which is nice. But,
no, this looks great.
well, yeah, thank you for having me on, dude. It's a blast. A lot of different conversations, some touchy ones, some lighthearted ones. A little bit of everything.
Yeah, normally that's how we do it here. Just a little bit of everything, you know.
I like it.
Yeah. But man, this was cool. Anything we're all good? Cool. Thanks, Natty, for being here. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me on.
The Mindbuzz Podcast.